Pretty much everyone in golf says the same thing. Drive for show, putt for dough. Putting is king. The short game is the most important as you will have most of your shots on the golf course inside 100 yards. You have probably heard of them 100 times before. I'm gonna say something that will probably trigger a lot of you. All these three statements have exactly one thing in common. They're wrong. They're dead wrong, and data proves it. In fact, if you really want to lower your scores on the golf course, you might be focusing on the wrong part of your game. Hi guys, my name is Kevin and I normally work in Formula 1 as a data and strategy expert, but probably also like you, I'm a very passionate amateur golfer and I was always obsessed with the question, what really does make a good score in golf? And if you have ever felt that you're putting the work in on the golf course but your scores don't reflect it, then stick with me, because this video will probably change your complete view of the game. So there's probably no question in golf more controversial than this. Which part of the game is actually the most important? Is it driving? Is it the approach game? Is it the short game and chipping? Or is it putting? So let me tell you how it was for me personally. For me, the biggest strength of my game has always been the short game. For my level, I chip really well. I love bunker shots and I've always had a great feel. That probably also comes from playing tennis as a kid before I got into golf. And honestly, I simply loved practicing chipping, way more than grinding on the driving range. So while my teammates were out there working on their swing, I was always on the chipping green, trying crazy shots, experimenting, having fun. I could spend hours there without getting bored. But there was one big problem. I didn't score. So in the German Golf League, I was usually the one coming back with the highest score. And after that, I even couldn't really explain why that was happening. And if that sounds familiar to you, good practice, decent shots, but no results on the scorecard, you're definitely not alone here. Because in my mind, it made perfect sense. 60% of all golf shots happen inside 100 yards. So that should be my focus point in terms of practice, right? As it turns out, that thinking is completely wrong. Yes, most of your golf shots will happen inside 100 yards, but actually they will still have the smallest impact on your golf score. So most golfers believe things like this. You can recover from a bad drive, but you can't get back a missed putt. Or that the short game gives you the confidence and removes pressure for the long game. And I get it, it sounds perfectly logical, but golf doesn't work like that. And I personally had to learn it the hard way myself. So what does data actually tell us? So a guy named Mark Brody analyzed millions of golf shots, not only of tour professionals, but also of amateur players. And he came up with a system, the so-called strokes gained system, where you could exactly determine how much a single shot contributed to your golf score. And with that, he could exactly measure how much each part of your golf game actually contributes to your score. And what he found out completely changed how I think about golf. So let's take a simple example here. So on the one side we have a 90 golfer. So a golfer who averages 90 when he plays a golf course. So I would personally think that this could be a handicap 15 player. And on the other side we have a 110 golfer, so a golfer with a scoring average of 110, probably a handicap 30 player. So that's a 20 shot difference here on average, 90 versus 110. But where does the scoring difference actually come from? Well, Mark Brody found it out. 40% of that difference comes from approach shots. 40%, that's 8 shots for our example on average. Not putting, not chipping, approach play. By far the biggest contributor for your score in golf. And the second contributor is the tee game, which explains about 28% of scoring differences. So that's another 5 to 6 shots per round in our example. And that's actually crazy if you think about it. Because on a normal golf round, you might only have 13 or 14 tee shots. But nevertheless they have a big influence on your score. So when I first read that in Mark Brody's book, Every Shot Counts, it blew my mind and I couldn't really believe it because it went against everything that I personally thought about golf. Because if you combine these two aspects, tee game and approach game, so the long game so to say, the long game explains 68% of scoring differences on the golf course. 68%. And that of course means that short game and putting have the smallest impact on your golf score. So the short game explains about 17% of scoring differences and putting around 15% of scoring differences. And Mark Brody stated that these numbers are also the same for other comparisons, not only for 90 golfers versus 110 golfers, but also for all other comparisons, all other skill levels. And this is exactly where most golfers are focusing on the wrong things and losing strokes without even realizing it. And I will show you later how you actually can fix this on the golf course. So to sum it up, data-wise, putting actually is the least important area of the golf game. And this is where most people get triggered a lot, including me when I first read it in Mark Brody's book. So before we go on, let's clear up one thing first. These numbers from Mark Brody are averages. Averages! So yes, there will be players on tour who win tournaments because of their great putting. But it's more likely to win a tournament when you have a great long game. And the stats back it up. I mean, the dominators of the golf game were all superior in the approach game. Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and now Scottie Scheffler. Yes, they are also good in the other disciplines, but if you look into strokes gained data, these dominances can mostly be explained due to the approach game. Most strokes gained came from that area. So yes, there will be exceptions, also for amateurs. But wouldn't it be smarter to focus on what's most likely to work and don't play the odds and hope that you yourself are the exception? So how was it for me when I first read these stats? I mean, I personally was also triggered a lot because, as I said, the short game was always my strength. And I kind of felt personally attacked by it because Mark Brody basically said to me, well, your skill is great, but it doesn't matter so much because the long game, approach game and tee game is more important. And if that was true, it also meant that I had been practicing the wrong things for years. So I didn't want to believe it. But the more I got into golf data, the clearer it became to me. Mark Brody is right. And the reason is simple. Golf is not so much about hitting great shots. It is much more about avoiding bad shots. Like the great Ben Hogan once said, he who misses best is going to win. And that's the key point here. Most bad shots happen in the long game. That is where most of the damage is done to your golf score. So if you slice it out of bounds, for example, or if you top it into the water, or shank your iron into the trees, these are the shots that absolutely kill your score. Because those shots don't just cost one strokes, they often come up with a penalty stroke on top of that. And suddenly one mistake turns into 2 shots lost immediately. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever putted a ball out of bounds? Probably not. But have you ever hit a tee shot out of bounds or hit an iron into the water? Exactly. It's quite hard to get penalty strokes in the short game. And you still might be saying, putting is still important. It's the most shots that you will have on a golf round. And it's true, but there's a catch, because not all putts matter equally. So let's say you have 36 putts in a round. Maybe 10 of those are tap-ins, putts that every single player makes. They don't separate you from anyone else. They don't improve your score relative to the field. They are just neutral. So now you're down to maybe 26 putts during a round of golf that actually matter. And even then, huge disasters there are not really possible because it's quite hard to get penalty strokes in putting. And this here, my friends, is not just theory. I experienced it the hard way myself last year when we played the PGA National Czech Republic on my German YouTube channel. One of the best courses that you can play in Europe. So my short game on that day was absolutely insane. I'm not exaggerating when I say that pretty much every chip and every bunker shot finished right next to the hole. It honestly felt unreal. And after the round, I also checked my strokes gained data. And it said that my short game value was plus 2.72. So what does it mean? It means that I gained 2.72 strokes compared to the PGA Tour on that day in the short game. So it basically meant that my short game was above a tour level performance. It was a world-class short game on that day. And I can also tell you what my final score was on that day. It was 22 over par. I played a 94 there. 22 over par. And why? I can tell you, because my long game was absolutely terrible. So I hit multiple tee shots out of bounds. I missed almost every green and I constantly put myself in bad positions. I only hit 4 greens in regulation and I lost over 7 shots compared to the PGA Tour level off the tee and more than 11 shots on approach game. And I must also say that I had a pretty bad putting round. I mean, I couldn't hole a single putt and I ended up with 34 putts at the end of the round. But still, the long game cost me way more strokes. That's what killed my score there. And that was the moment where it really clicked for me. I didn't play bad because my short game wasn't good enough. I played bad because I had to rely on my short game way too often. Because I kept putting myself into trouble after my tee shots and after my approach shots. And I get it. It's a tough pill to swallow. Especially when your strength is the short game, like it was for me. Because then suddenly it feels like your biggest skill doesn't matter so much or it's kind of useless even. But the truth is, most amateurs don't struggle with their scores because of bad putting and bad short game. They struggle with their scoring because of bad decisions and mistakes in the tee game and in the approach game. And that is where strategy comes in. Because it is not only about improving your swing and fixing your technique, but it is also about executing what is already there in the best possible way on the golf course. It is about avoiding the big mistakes. It is about positioning. It is about club selection and smart decision making on the golf course. It is essentially about course management. But most amateurs underestimate the effect of great course management massively because in the first place they don't even know how important the tee game and the approach game is. So if you really want to lower your scores, it is not just about improving your swing. It is about using your skill that you already have more effectively. And if you want to learn how you use your current skill level to score better, to avoid these big mistakes and make smarter decisions on the golf course, I have put together a completely free course management coaching for you. It breaks down exactly how scoring really works on the golf course and how you personally can save strokes without having to change your swing. So you can find the link to that coaching in the video description or simply scan the QR code here. So again, it is 100% for free and it might actually change your whole perception about the golf game. So thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss out on future content about golf strategy and scoring, and I will see you in your free course management coaching.